sing in a sec, Picca. Welcome everyone to Footballers tonight, guys. Special things happening. It's Ange Postecoglou. This is your life. My God, it's going to happen tonight. We're going to go crazy tonight, guys. Let's do it. Here we go. Hup. Hup. Check it out. Feel it. Hup. Here we go. Hup. Let's go. Hey! The cup of life, this is the one. Now is the time, don't ever stop. We should've known, gotta be strong. We should've known, right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet, Kris. Now the days, here you're gonna get it there, Angelo. James Bond, see it in your soul. You want the cup of life, Skinny? It's coming tonight, guys. Boy, the Euro Cup, we're gonna talk about it. Here we go, guys. Let's party. Here we go. Hup. Here, we are the people. We are the passion. We are the history. Oh my God, guys, what about history tonight? A lot of history tonight, guys, and a lot of history in the A-League. Thank you for joining us. It's our way, the highway. Gentlemen, welcome tonight, guys. Direct from Italy, Angelo, Picca, Kenny Wilson, and of course, the star of South Melbourne. Is that right in those days, Kris? Of course. There we go, Kris Kalafatidis. Here we go, guys. My God, guys, what a show tonight it is. People are going crazy. They're online. They're talking to us right now. But let me say one thing about this tonight, guys. We're going to be talking about Ange Postecoglou, but we've got a historical game on Saturday. It is the Melbourne Derby, City versus Victory. Boy, what a game. We're going to talk about that later on. But Kris, welcome back to Footballers again, Kris. Of course, now, you must have seen that game on the weekend, of course, as it last Thursday, Ange Postecoglou holding that cup up and said, and you know, the players holding up that sign saying, I win trophies in my second year. Did you believe that? Did you believe what he said? Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, it's a story that he's told for a long time, and he has had success in his second year everywhere he's gone. So, yeah, good on him. You know, big statement, and he's, you know.
But the thing is, you want to tell us a story, and what I'll say is too, before I ask you the question about Ange, is that the thing about him is was not winning the last 10 or 15 games in the Premier League. When it came to winning that trophy, of course, against Manchester United, my God, you would have thought that it was the Champions League trophy, but I tell you what, they haven't won a trophy for a long time. But to lose that game, and apparently pressure's come back onto him again because of a 4-1 loss to Brighton, Hove Albion. Kenny?
Yeah, I just watched the highlights just before I came on.
Yeah,
mate, they went 1-0 up and got smashed 4-1.
Yeah, went 1-0 up.
Mate, he's under pressure. I'm telling you.
Oh yes,
he's under pressure. They are awful. And in fairness, you know, and it's great. It's a wonderful achievement. Don't get me wrong. But Man United, that was one of the worst Europa Cup finals. It's one of the worst cup finals I've ever witnessed. It was horrible.
16-17.
It was the purest quality football that I've ever seen at probably that level. Yeah. And I mean, you know, I always believe that. I mean, Ange has managed his career brilliantly, but he kissed the baby with that comp because the first year that Champions League teams who got eliminated never dropped into Europa.
Yes.
So, you know, it gave him a bit of a clean run, and I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better draw to play Man United in the final.
And I saw the ladder, and I'll tell Angelo, I saw the ladder today, Angelo, of the Premier League ladder, and of course we're talking here, oh my God,
fourth bottom.
Fourth bottom, and then they had, and all these teams on top, where they're playing next year, they had them on top, and of course at the bottom they had Tottenham there, and it had a little sign, Champions League next year. That is a disgrace to have a team to come from that high, Angelo, from that low to come that high. And was it, of course, the Frenchman that used to coach, of course, Arsenal, and said no, they shouldn't be in there. You know what I'm talking about. And he said no, they should not be in. These teams that play in that competition, the Euro, should not be playing in the Champions League. But aren't they champions still of that league, Angelo? Aren't they still a champion somehow?
Look, FIFA came up with a rule a couple of years ago, the fact that if you win Europa Liga, you automatically qualify the Champions League, and that's been around for a couple of years now. Then they've got new format now, but Tottenham have got every reason to be part of that Champions League, and regardless of what happened on the Premiership ladder of the EPL, because if you guys realise that Angelo is a very smart person, very smart operator. In January, he had a meeting with Daniel Levy, the owner, and it was here. It was written in the articles. I read about it, and he said that he was going to have two teams, one team of which was going to play in the EPL, and the stronger team was going to play for the Europa League, because we all know, and Kenny mentioned it, that I know he mentioned it in Facebook as well, that Tottenham had not won for 41 years. They won one of these, I think, local cups in the competition in England, but never a major trophy. And I think Ange decided in January, without getting other players, because he's had so many injuries, incredible. Like Madison, he's had Kulusevski, he's had Bentancur, he's had Romero, he's had so many injuries, and he actually managed that team, the group, really well. And I agree with Kenny that the fact that the big teams didn't drop from Champions League, but winning a competition is still a mighty, mighty grand effort in terms of the collective unit. I think that he won it. He lifted that trophy, deservedly so. And I just want to touch on that, the final. Tottenham went in and they started pretty well and they scored. It was Man United that had to make the game, and I don't think United did. I think United were very, very, they didn't fight. They didn't come back. I expected a big lift, from Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, all the big name players. It just didn't happen. And, Tottenham just had to play the strategy of shutting them out and, maintaining that result. And, it's not easy to maintain a 1-0 result. We all know that. Kenny's he's played, for many, many years. Any team that's 1-0 up, it's a very dangerous result. But Ange did it. I'll tell you what, guys, I am so proud to be part of football in Australia, and so proud to have known Ange and what he's done. He's really carried the flag for Australian football, and this is an absolute immense. This is an immense result, for Australian football.
Exactly. Now I'm going to say one thing, and then I found out also doing some research about Tottenham Hotspur is the 9th richest club in the world. My God, mate, that is in the top 10. So now I want to bring you on, Kris, and ask you about in 1984. You said you met some certain guy there who turned up there at South Melbourne. What was he like? What was he? Was he scruffy? Was he? Were they stirring him up? What was going on there, Kris?
Ange, mate, he was a 19-year-old. He's come up from the juniors in the 84 squad. He came late into the squad. He wasn't in the squad when we played our the night series. I don't know what it was called, the Buffalo Cup or the Ampol Cup.
Yes,
he wasn't
Cup.
in the squad then, which we went on to win, beat Melbourne Knights or Croatia 4-1. And then the league started, and Andrew was in the reserves, and we were so like you're talking about Bobby Russell, Eisendawn, Blairy, Carl Halford, Oscar Crino, Alan Davison, Charlie Egan, Dougie Brown, Kenny Murphy. We were the first team squad there, and we went on 84 and played right towards the finals, and we won that the national, I think it was a South Conference. We won that, and then we had to play the winners of the Northern, which ended up Olympic. So in 84, Ange came into the side as a young 19-year-old. I was 26 at the time, and he came in late into the squad and played a few games off the bench. In the defence, I was moving around the defence because we had a few injuries, and I played at left back, right back, centre half. I was like the utility player for the season, and I played every game in that '84 season until the grand final when our coach at the time, Len McKendry, called me up and said, "Kris, mate, I'm going to replace you with Angelo Postecoglou in the left back position."
God.
And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I need the wide wing back because Ange was very good as a wing back, left back coming forward, and he started that the wing back opening wide on the left and getting down and coming back, and so he took my spot in the side, and the rest is history. Won the grand final 2-1 both games.
Was that against Sydney Olympic?
Olympic, yeah, Sydney Olympic.
Kenny might have been there too.
No, I mean, I'd already moved up. I went to St George in '83 when we won the league, and then in '84, Raul Blanco bought me for my leader's return to the NSL, and we were in the other group we were in the group with Olympic. That was for me the sort of downfall of the NSL when you put it in the regions. It was never a national league from '84 onwards.
Yeah, it was divisions.
Wasn't the same.
So
it lost the luster. It sort of became an NPL. With the teams meeting. At the end of the season. As I say, the luster went. For me, the first 7 seasons, '77 to the start of '84. It was a true national league.
So, Kris, he took your spot. What happened after that? What was going on after that?
Well, he came into the side and they did quite well. And then in the '85 season, Len said to me, "Kris, I don't think I've got a posse for you because Ange is, taking your spot." I said, "Okay." So then I went to Oakley Cannons. I went to second division Oakley Cannon as a player coach and promoted them to 2 championships and got them into the first division. But back on Ange, he was just a young 19-year-old, enthusiastic, he was pretty quiet. He wasn't flamboyant or anything, but, he loved to go forward, as a wing back. And that's what Len liked about him, because Len liked the wingers, liked to open the games up and had Dougie and Charlie in the middle of the park where they all sort of fed them the ball with Alan and Carl and Oscar in the middle of the park, you got a pretty good side there,
Pretty good side. You're talking about Socceroos, a lot of Socceroos, including your mate. Everybody played for Australia, those guys, all of them.
There, that's right. Hallis, so I had 26 Socceroos back then, So, Ange was a quiet boy, come up from the juniors, and he made his name, after the couple of seasons, back in '91 when Franz Puskás came to South to coach them. Ange played. He was the captain there at that time in '91. I was a youth coach at South Melbourne.
You got back. You got back. At least you got back. Yes.
Yeah, just to coach the youth side because they needed some young talented players, and there was 2. Damien Murray and Con Buchianis. I promoted them into the seniors, said to France, I've got these 2 boys, they're pretty good. So France, Puskás, he put Con Buchianis into the side straight away because he was a left footer. He do magic with the ball. And young Damien, well, he said, he hasn't got enough skill. But he was strong and quick, and Damien that year or ended up at Adelaide City and become a hero there. He top goal scorer. He was strong, scoring goals and what have you. Where Con at South Melbourne, well, he was a gifted player, and they won the '91. 91. With Ange playing, and then in '98 when Ange took the side as coach. They won it in '98 and they won it in '99 with Ange being coach of South Melbourne as well. So, and then his coaching career started by moving on to Brisbane and then I think Japan.
Victory.
Yeah, correct.
Then he took the Australian job, quit.
Yes,
and he went to Japan after that.
Yeah, well, he got them the Asian Cup. He was under pressure.
Exactly.
They didn't like Ange, and I think they liked Sydney coaches rather than Melbourne coaches. There was a big rivalry between Sydney and Melbourne, and but he's proven them wrong. He's done an excellent job, and good on him. Other coaches would have faded out, but he just kept on going and, made a good name for himself, and good on him. And he's put Australian coaching on the map. We're
going to talk about that shortly too.
Yeah.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time. Do you have what it takes to become a soccer superstar? Look no further than Soccer Pro Academy. Led by experienced coaches, including a former Socceroo, the Academy provides world-class training to help you reach your full potential. From technical skills to tactical awareness, they'll help you develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed at the highest level. Soccer Pro Academy, where champions are made.
Are you looking for the perfect kit for your football club? Try Arrow Sport today. From jerseys to shorts to socks, Arrow Sport will have you completely covered. We can even cover your merchandising line, including hats, beanies, scarves, jumpers, and so much more. So if you're looking for excellent lead times, great pricing, and even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au. And even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au.
Looking for a haven to unwind and indulge? Look no further than Brista Cafe, nestled in the heart of Derrimut Village Shopping Centre. From decadent homemade gourmet cookies to scrumptious muffins, every bite is a delight. Everyone loves Brista Cafe, and you will too. So why wait? Visit Brista Cafe today and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi guys, Harry Sundai here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called There Is Only One Football.com, guys. They've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time.
I'll bring Angelo on. You got some questions for Kris?
Kris, you've actually summed it up pretty well. One of the things I liked about what Ange said recently is that when he coached South Melbourne, whether he coaches South Melbourne or Brisbane or the J League or the Scottish Premier League, whatever, he's always maintained the same attitude, the same way of thinking, and he's actually simplified things to make it to put less pressure on himself. For example, when he went to Tottenham, everyone thought, "Oh, what's he going to do? Is he going to be up to it?" But at the end of the day, he only said the other day that he goes in to each club, and he has the same attitude, the same simple things, and he makes group so well. Because everywhere he's gone, he makes group so well. I just wanted to ask you, like in terms of, you would have been a lot closer to him when he was in Melbourne.
He likes the challenge. And he likes the challenge, he won't go to a club that are flying high, he likes, to bring clubs up a level, to bring them, and he's done that wherever he's gone, as you said, in his second year, he's always done well. But, he's stuck to his game plan. But I think on the weekend he changed it a little bit because I heard on an interview that he like a knockout competition like the Europa, he plays differently to a league game, and that's hard to do, but he's done it, he's gone all the way through to the final and won it, good on him,
I think the
other thing I want to ask you was about his management skills, because when a coach manages these days, not like the old times when you had the clenched iron fist and you would smash it against the blackboard. It's more about communication now.
Yes.
And as far as my personal opinion is that he's a great manager of people.
Yes.
Because to make groups so quickly and start getting results, like last year when he stepped into Tottenham, for example. The first 10 games, they went without a loss. And I was talking to Kenny on this very show, and Kenny said, Angelo, just wait and see when Liverpool wakes up. And he was right. Kenny was right.
Yeah.
Because, they finished fifth. But one of the best things that he said in these interviews, he said he was talking to the media and he was talking to the fans because they got on his back.
Yeah.
And he said, what is the difference? In the first year, we started well and finished fifth and didn't make the Champions League, whereas this year we finished 17th and we made the Champions League.
Yeah.
So I think that was an excellent observation.
Yes, that's right. No, he's done really, really well. I'm hoping they keep him. I'm hoping give him another year. He's got 2 more years to go on his contract. So I'm hoping they give him another chance, and then we'll see. The real, Tottenham or the real Ange, and we'll see what happens there. But I'd love to see him go again. Have another season, and
he deserves it.
He's always for me. He's always made really important, correct decisions at the right time.
Yeah,
he left Australia when he knew he wasn't going to win a game at the World Cup, and let's be honest, he was half an inch of a post to getting knocked out in the playoffs of the World Cup.
Yes.
So he has a bit of the luck of the Irish. Then, obviously, first year in Japan, got out of Japan, went to Celtic 1 year, won there, left at the right time. I have to say that when you're 1 game away from getting either sacked, and that's what he was, if he'd lost the Europa League, we wouldn't be sitting here saying, he's had a good season. He definitely changed the way he played in the last 5 games. He parked the bus the other night. The other night against Man United, it was like a Mourinho performance. He's never done that before. He went back to normal in the Premier League on Saturday, and he got smashed.
So they've all found out about him now.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I think, look, and as I say, absolutely magnificent. And what I really admire is 3 of his backroom staff are Aussie, or at least Aussie linked. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's got the coach. He's got a full Australian contingent technically, but which is great, giving them opportunities. But I have to say, this is the first Premier League in 10 years. The bottom 3 teams, that's the worst points tally.
Yep.
In 10 seasons. If it had been any season but this season, Spurs could have got relegated.
Yeah, Kenny. The EPL, if you have anything under 40 points,
correct,
you get relegated.
Jesus.
Correct.
So
this is the first season that they 3 teams, the bottom 3 teams, were horrendous this year. Really poor, really poor. sadly. I mean, Southampton get raped and pillaged. All the best players get bought. You know, and it was only a matter of time. Ipswich were never quite up to the.
No, he came up from the championship. Yeah,
you know, and you know, it's a shame about Leicester, but such is life. But they were very, very poor.
Yeah. Look, any other time, they would have been relegated any other time.
Yes, I'll bring
38 points. It's not not good enough in the Premier League, and it hasn't been for years.
But the thing is,
we've got to give Angelo credit. Where I'll go back to January, where he decided he knew he was not going to get relegated, because you have a look, the 17th position, they're about 10 points, 13 points ahead. Yeah. So he was never going to get relegated, and they made a conscious decision.
You never know. GPL, it's the hardest league. You can't you can't say that 10 games in, because anything could happen. But he stuck to his guns, and good on him. And hopefully he'll get another season. Hopefully the fans are. They're not going to crucify him.
The problem today in England was I saw Jamie Redknapp speak, and it was like they're talking to him there. Is Ange going to be there next year? He said no. They're saying it now. They're saying it because Angelo, to come back and win that title, the Europa Cup, of course, come back and play. As I said earlier, you're playing Brighton Hove Albion, and you're getting done 4-1. That's the point. That's where Angelo, this is where they found it now. Okay, he can't play in the Premier League. He's won this cup, and now because of that loss, the pressure's on him big time. That's the point now.
One of the points I wanted to make that, when he went into this game against Brighton, of course they had the bus parade and all that sort of stuff, right? He went in without Basuma, Wilkerson, Davies, Odegaard, Spence, Madison, Kulusevski, of course, they were injured, they weren't going to play. But, he decided, because they weren't going to get relegated, he decided to give the young guns, some of the younger players that didn't play all year, and, he decided to give them a chance. Like, he changed 4 or 5, 6 players.
Yes.
And I don't think if someone that knows football, okay, I'll make this statement, someone that knows football will not criticise him for that, okay, because he has won a great trophy. He's injected something like £30 million, not euros, £30 million into the coffers. Daniel Levy, look, I'm confident that he'll get another go.
Yeah,
there you go.
The problem you've got is, we're forgetting that in 2 seasons they've spent $300 million. It's not like they've not spent a lot of money in players. They've spent a lot of money. And the point you made about, leaving players out, he's done that in the last 4-5 weeks leading up to Europa. And they've got smashed nearly every week. What we've got to take into consideration is you've got supporters who are paying huge money every week for season tickets. You can't do that, in my opinion.
Kenny, we spoke about the coaches that have been there, right, in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Antonio Conte has been there, done nothing. Mauricio Pochettino has been there, he's done absolutely nothing. And Daniel Levy kept spending. He spent something like $200 million when Antonio Conte was there. They bought all the players from Juventus. Kulusevski, he was at Juventus. Mentaku was at Juventus, right? And also they bought Vicario, the goalkeeper. So they bought and Urugi, of course, who's in the international team. So what I'm trying to say, you've got Pochettino, Antonio Conte. Also, let's not forget Jose Mourinho. He was there.
Yeah, I think you've been a bit harsh. Pochettino got into the final of the Champions League and second in the Premier League. I think you've been a bit harsh.
No. Hang on, Kenny. He did get him to the final. Right? He did get him to the final, but then that's another story. He was under a lot of criticism, not playing Morales, who in the semi-final scored a hat-trick against Ajax. They put Ajax out. Then he had him on the bench for the whole game. Of course, Liverpool beat him. So there's not really, he didn't win anything. He did not win the Champions League. He
still got to the final of the Champions League, mate, and he ran up into the second last game of the season. He ranked second in the Premier League. I mean, I think Tottenham made a huge mistake getting rid of him, in my opinion, because he asked for money in the January window and Daniel Levy never gave it to him. He was looking to sign one striker and one midfield player. And I think that was a huge mistake.
Kenny, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, everybody knows, right? They went 41 years without winning a trophy.
Yep.
And I think you made the final, but you still haven't got a trophy in the cabinet. And I think at the end of the day, Daniel Levy and the owners, the co-owners and the board, they should be considering this sort of thing. And I think everybody's expecting that, but you never know. I'm expecting
I get the trophy thing. It's actually, they won the League Cup 17 years ago. 41 years ago was 80. They won the FA Cup in 81. But historically, they haven't. Spurs as a club haven't won much at all in their history. Generically, they're not a big club as far as winning things are concerned. I think they might have won the old league in 1958 or something, but they're certainly not. You would never put them in the top 6 or 7 clubs as far as winning things and success. I mean, we can flick quickly to your club. How good Scott McTominay at Napoli. Man United, you can't get a game at Man United.
I can't wait till we talk about Serie A.
Oh my God!
Mate, how good is he? And he's Scottish as well, which makes a huge difference.
Unbelievable.
Right? But how can Man United let him go for peanuts? I mean, he's done. The only other player that's ever done that's Maradona. Went to Napoli, won the league,
titles,
right?
Yes.
And he's gone there, and I mean, obviously the Napoli's, they love him, right? Next to Maradona, he's the second god, right?
Well, look, Kenny, let me tell you that the Scottish players. Now we're going to another subject. The Serie A was one of the most exciting finishes in about 20 years, and because you had the relegation battle, which was only decided last night, the last 20 minutes, the last 3 or 4 or 5 teams. Parma, of course, where Alessandro Ciccardi plays, one of our boys, Australian boys. He actually played. He was marking Lukaku, Kenny. And going back on McTominay has had such an impact that he was voted a man of the match, man of the round, whatever, player of the match 6 times, and he actually won Serie A Player of the Year. Right? He got awarded that. And let's not forget Billy Gilmore. Yeah. He's had a fantastic season. I mean, he slotted into that midfield role of Lobotka, had such an impact. He didn't make a mistake in that last game, and of course, that was one of Napoli's best games. And they ended up winning the championship, the Serie A Scudetto, by 1 point. It was a very, very exciting finish. But let me tell you, I'll give you some inside information. We're after Lewis Ferguson as well, who's at Bologna.
Yep.
Gee.
Yep.
So we could have
it's interesting, Billy Gilmore, obviously Chelsea, Norwich, went through, hasn't quite made it, a little bit small in stature, struggles to even sort of get a regular start with Scotland, to be honest, but terrific player. I've always rated him. I thought he was terrific.
Ferguson, you're talking about Ferguson.
Yeah, and Gilmore as well. Yeah, Gilmore is Gilmore. Has obviously been through a few English clubs, obviously Chelsea, Norwich, etc. But sometimes it's a bit like what's happened with Salah when he was at Chelsea. They let him go. He found his home at Liverpool. De Bruyne, Chelsea, they never kept him. Found his home at Man City. McTominay and Gilmore have found their home at Napoli.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, McTominay. We picked him up for 30 million, and he's now worth 50 for sure. He's worth 50 million. So.
Mate, was it 20 goals? How many goals did he score? Was it 20?
He scored 12 goals from midfield with seven assists, and he was only second to Lukaku, who scored 14 with 12 assists. So McTominay has been such a big impact. Practically he's been the player of the year. Yeah. And Man United should never let him go. There's been a lot of criticism towards United about that, but both of them, McTominay and Gilmore, both slotted in nicely. They got adapted to the culture. The Napoli, of course, and they're doing very well, and they're very happy to live there. I think that his whole family was there. His dad was there, of course. Kenny McTominay's played. His dad, his mum, and it was such a wonderful day, And then to score the goal that he did, which was the start, the scissors kick.
Yeah,
scissors kick goal, which everybody loved.
Gentlemen,
Spectacular goal.
Yeah, I just want to get to one thing. I just want to get to one thing that you said before, Kris, about the influence of Ferenc Puskás having Ange Postecoglou as his assistant. Did you see how were they close? Were they close? Did he learn a lot from Ferenc Puskás because he had all the experience of Europe with him, bringing that to South Melbourne? Would Ange have learned a lot about that?
Yeah, just Francis Puskás' name, that's
Yes.
all you've got to say, and everyone was just in awe of him, so I'm sure Ange picked up a couple of tricks or two from France, but look, just his name, and that's why I went there in '91 to coach the youth team to pick up some, coaching. Just have a look at the way he coaches and, what he says to players and things like that. He was a bit of a character, but France just loved the 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 little games, like possession games, and he was also instigator in free kicks,
Yes.
like he loved, because I know he told me once that a lot of goals, 60% of goals are scored from free kicks, from set pieces, and he worked on that, and he had some good players to score goals, but he loved the 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 possession game, and that's a lot of things that I saw what he did with the South Melbourne side, because look, the boys at that time, you had some great players,
Oh, yes.
in the late '90s, so the Trimbolis and the Petersons, there were some great players.
If you want to get,
yes.
you want to get a good indication, go and see the movie. The movie that they made.
Exactly.
Everyone, go and see it. It's great. But I will say that Puskás, he was a manager rather than a coach. He's from the old school.
Yeah, totally agree.
The Paisleys, they weren't coaches, they were managers, right?
Yep, totally agree.
Even, to the point, even Alex Ferguson, he was a manager, not a coach.
Yeah, and I think Ange is the same thing. Ange to me is a manager. He manages,
Puskás would turn up to training if it rained. He'd say, "Go home, boys."
Kenny, it sounds like someone you had as a coach too. What's his name?
Tommy
Doherty. Oh, no. He was the same just
Don't
about.
stop me on that.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Listen, boys, go on.
I think one other thing I wanted to mention, that when Ange picked up Tottenham, Harry Kane had gone, and of course, he inherited that team, and he started so well. But the guy that got a lot of satisfaction, the biggest satisfaction, was Son.
Yep.
Son, because he had 10 years, he had won nothing, and it was so nice to hear Son speak so highly of Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, he made him captain too. Yeah,
exactly. Made him captain, gave him more responsibility.
Yeah.
Look, if they continued, Kris, if they had continued in that vein, the first 10 games, of course, it's very hard to keep that pace.
Yes.
With the squad. It wasn't as good a squad as the other clubs. But I think that the greatest thing that I saw the interviews this week at Son spoke so highly, and he was crying. He had tears, and spoke so highly of Ange Postecoglou. And being a person like me that lives in Italy, but I've still got my heart in Australia. I was so proud and so touched by the way the players reacted to this trophy, to this thing.
Yep.
So proud of Ange. And like you guys said, both Kenny, he is a better manager than a coach. He's so good at getting into the minds of the players. And getting them to do what he wants.
Now,
and I'm so happy, so delighted for him. Fantastic.
Now,
his speaking skills have gone up levels and levels. Oh my God, you get inspired on some of the stories, and how he gets players, builds them up in the squad and that, incredible. His just speech, he's unbelievable. So he's done,
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time. Do you have what it takes to become a soccer superstar? Look no further than Soccer Pro Academy. Led by experienced coaches, including a former Socceroo, the Academy provides world-class training to help you reach your full potential. From technical skills to tactical awareness, they'll help you develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed at the highest level. Soccer Pro Academy, where champions are made.
Are you looking for the perfect kit for your football club? Try Arrow Sport today. From jerseys to shorts to socks, Arrow Sport will have you completely covered. We can even cover your merchandising line, including hats, beanies, scarves, jumpers, and so much more. So if you're looking for excellent lead times, great pricing, and even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au. And even better quality, try Arrow Sport today by looking at our website at arrowsport.com.au.
Looking for a haven to unwind and indulge? Look no further than Brista Cafe, nestled in the heart of Derrimut Village Shopping Centre. From decadent homemade gourmet cookies to scrumptious muffins, every bite is a delight. Everyone loves Brista Cafe, and you will too. So why wait? Visit Brista Cafe today and taste the difference for yourself.
Hi guys, Harry Sundai here, letting you know that there's a apparel company that supports the game that you love. It's called thereisonlyonefootball.com, guys. You've got all sorts of stuff, from caps, t-shirts, water bottles, all sorts of accessories, even for your mobile phone.
In today's fast-paced business world, reliable logistics is key to success. That's where PC and FS Logistics come in. With a comprehensive range of services including air, sea and domestic transport, as well as secure warehousing, we've got your supply chain covered. From origin destination, our expert team ensures your goods are handled with care and delivered on time, every time.
Yeah. Now, we're going to turn over the page here right now to do something different. And we're going to talk about our competition in Australia. Of course, we're talking about the A-League. If you're a Melbourne City person, if you're a Victory person, my God, this is all about you guys. And nobody would have expected this, Kenny. Nobody would have expected this in any kind of thinking that Auckland would finish on top and all of a sudden, yeah, they're going to win the final and everything. Hang on for a sec. Let me go to the beginning of this, right? These are the two semi-finals. Now, that first leg, of course, you know, and of course, when Melbourne City scores 3 goals in that first leg 2 weeks ago, my God, you knew straight away that Western United had got no chance. But then, of course, they came back in the second leg and all they did was score 1, and then Melbourne City won, and that was the end of it, Kenny. So, and also we're talking...
I've got to say, you know, obviously Auckland won the league, but, you know, 6 or 7 weeks ago, Melbourne City started to hit their straps.
And they have.
And I think I've said it many times, I don't see anyone getting close to them. You know, I've got no doubt that they'll win it. But you know, Auckland, you know, are a very mechanical, defensive, strong unit with, you would say no superstars, but as a unit, you know, they've done a wonderful job. But you know, that you just don't see any team in the last 3 or 4 weeks getting close to Melbourne City, in my opinion.
We'll see about that.
It's a victory. Let me say this.
Mate, I've got to tell you, they were awful. Victory in the first game against Auckland.
Honestly, let me
tell you. They were awful.
To go to Auckland and beat them 2-0, you know, like that.
Yeah, oh, mate.
I mean, I've just watched. You know, the highlights and I mean, a couple of refereeing decisions when it was 0-0 for Auckland were, they should have got a goal, and potentially a victory player should have got sent off. I mean, all these things are happening now with VAR and refereeing decisions, and that happened in the Premier League at the weekend. Same thing with Aston Villa. Aston Villa should have got a goal, 1-0, and that would have meant they were in the Champions League, and instead of that, they get beat. And Newcastle are in. So, but that's what the game's all about. But look, my two balls worth. I've been very impressed with Melbourne City in the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Kenny, sorry,
you're right.
I was going to say this, Kenny, is that Melbourne City have not lost in the last 8 games. We all know that. They beat Western United 3-0, and then of course Western United had that big pay dispute. The bad publicity they got. It was very bad to find out that they weren't paying their players. So they're always going to be up against it. Not only the 3-0 scoreline, but Melbourne City make. But the good thing about it, Kenny and Kris, Aurelio Vidmar, everyone must applaud this gentleman, because he has done it with a young side, young players. He had they told him that they had to cut the budget because, of course, they weren't getting the pay TV money anymore, and it was all cut. We all know that at the start of the season. And he's had to give all the young guns a go, and they haven't let him down. They've actually played with a lot of hunger, with a lot of desire, a lot of determination, and I think they are the best team in the competition. Okay, without it, I think Auckland did a fabulous job in terms of marketing, in terms of getting crowds and everything. But it is absolutely fantastic, Harry and Kris. You both are from Melbourne. To see a Melbourne derby, it'll be interesting to see the crowds reacting to this. It'll be absolutely amazing.
Let me just say one thing about that. I was at the finals last year between that semi-final between Melbourne Victory and, of course, City, right? City. So they can actually play, of course. That was the elimination final. So they had to play Wellington Phoenix. But I'd see it as a massive grudge match this week because of that final. I tell you what, because they kicked them out. Victory kicked them out last year. So this is going to be on. And let me just say one thing about this. This is 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Who would ever have thought this, Kris, yourself? And they went out and they played Wellington Phoenix in Melbourne last year for that semi-final, first leg, 0-0. So what did they do? They went to bloody Wellington and beat them 2-0. Same again. But you understand what I'm saying, mate? Which means that Victory owns both. They're saying it. We own both of the New Zealand teams. We've beaten them both over there. So that's another thing, Kenny. I mean, this is a coincidence where last year, and we know what happened last year with the final, they had to play Central Coast Mariners at the Mariners and the Central Coast. And what happened, Kenny, that game last year? So this is going to be very different. It's all a home grand final, Kris, a home grand final. So how did you see, Kris, you're a Melbourne Victory?
I'll be interested to see what the Victory starting line is.
No.
Because the coach, he's made some strange decisions, I have to say, in my opinion.
Oh, mate.
I mean, they were getting beat. They were getting beat, obviously, against Auckland. And he took his 2 best players off and then brought 2 strikers on, but the 2 wide players he took off. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, because when you take your wide players off that are getting the ball in the box, and then you bring potentially, obviously he's getting old now. He's probably the best striker at the club. Where's the service coming from? So I think he's obviously changed that when they went to Auckland. But it'll be interesting to see who he starts against Melbourne City. It'll be very interesting if he takes a game to them.
I want to add one thing, that if Harry just mentioned the scores, and I think Melbourne, there's a bit of a trend there, because at home they haven't done well. They've done exceptionally well away from home. Okay, so now they're playing in the grand final. They're playing in front of their home crowd, and it's a one-off game. It's 90 minutes. 90 minutes.
But I'm
tipping Melbourne City. I'm tipping Melbourne City, but then I think they've got a lot more hunger than any other team. But who knows?
I'd love to be able to sit in front of the coach and ask him, when you go one, and he's done it heaps of times. He's gone down 1-0, and he takes Angelo, who's potentially his most dangerous player. Potentially through the game, and he hooks him all the time. There's got to be a reason for it, obviously, but I'm certainly not sure what it is.
Let me, Kenny, I want to tell you, I actually this afternoon did some research of the coach of. We're talking about Kisnorbe left, right? He left. He wanted to go to. He wanted to go to Japan. He went to Japan. But Arthur Dillis, guess where he comes from? His original club, Sydney Olympic. Sydney Olympic. Yeah. I couldn't believe this. You're going to have to support Melbourne Victory this time, Kenny. You're going to have to go for him. So
mate, I've got to, because obviously me and Alec Jameson came here together.
Yes,
and I'm a godfather to Scott's son, Scott's brother. So Scott Jameson's the assistant coach. So I've got to sway to Melbourne City a little bit, but look, I think it'll be a really good game. I mean, the volume of support's going to come from Melbourne Victory. You would think there'd be 15,000, 18,000 Melbourne Victory fans.
Honestly, Kenny, that final last Friday, the Saturday final in the afternoon when, of course, it was City and Western United. It was nobody there, man. It was just dead. Absolutely dead.
It was a bounce, Harry, it was a bounce game. There were 3-0. They were already 3-0 down.
Through. That was it. We knew that.
So bounce games are hard to get people enthused,
I know, but let me just...
What I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of the venue? Obviously, we're expecting a sellout, but what do you guys think? I mean, being a Melbourne derby, it should actually be chockers. It should actually be a sellout, and in terms of television, it should break the ratings for a grand final.
Mate, they haven't even announced whether it's on free to air yet. We don't know.
Yes, it is, Kenny. It is free to air. You found out today. Yeah, they weren't going to do it.
Is it on?
Yeah, channel.
What's it on? Bold?
Channel 10. Channel 10.
Yep.
Very lucky, I tell you what, mate. If they weren't going to sell the tickets, we'll find out about the tickets tomorrow because they go on sale tomorrow. So we'll find out tomorrow how many people will actually buy. But let me tell you,
what does it hold? What does the stadium hold?
30,000.
Yeah, they might get a sellout. Yeah, I reckon 10,000. Melbourne City fans, 18.
Yeah. They'll get a sellout, definitely.
Yeah. Let me say,
one thing. A few years back, you would actually have a look at the demographics of the sale of the tickets, and you might even change the venue. I mean, to have a venue of 30,000 for a grand final, to me, that is actually, it's a negative thing. I think they should have actually had 50+. Yeah.
This is
to have a venue of 30,000. It's just like they had a Central Coast. I mean, only had 20,000. I mean, that's really cool.
Mate,
I don't believe they thought the two Melbourne clubs would meet the final.
No, but let me just say, I don't really want to say this, but mate, the MCG's open on the other side with bloody Collingwood there. You can imagine the parking, the troubles with parking, Kris, as well. You know that as well. My God, man. Did they have to schedule it on Saturday? Couldn't they? They've done it on Sundays before. They should have scheduled it on at least a Sunday. They should have done that, of course. But let me say the history of Arthur Dillis. I tell you what, Kenny, this guy here is Sydney Olympic, Sydney United FC, Parramatta Soccer, Belgium. He was a Crawley Town in the mate. He's been all over the place in Belgium as well. He's been every. Yep. You know much about him at all?
Yeah. No, I know. A lot of the boys know him. Yeah. He's a journeyman, and obviously he's had to pick up the slack with the coach leaving mid-season. So look. He's his own man. He's made a couple of decisions. I look at the squad of players he's got, and he's starting 11, and I'm not quite sure whether it would be the team I would pick, but that's just my opinion. As a sideline watcher, but he's got to play. He's got to play his best strikers.
We got where Valupala's in big. Valupala's in big trouble. He came off before half time. Then Azani came, not Azani. You know what I'm talking about. The striker there. I forgot his name, but you know who I'm talking. I'm losing it now. But anyway,
I mean, 12 months ago he was playing for Australia, and he's sitting on the bench.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the point. So
it makes no sense. And he's a prolific scorer. I mean, you get the ball in the box. For me, it's like bread and butter. You play Azani and you play him. And, you make sure you get plenty of balls in the box and he'll get in the end of things.
But that's the thing about this.
Yeah, maybe maybe, Kenny, with the other situation, like you had a home and away game every 3 or 4 days, this being a one-off game, he might play his best song. He might not bench those players. He might play the very best team. It's going to be 90 minutes. It's not going to be 180 minutes like before. So that might make a difference. But it's going to be a very exciting game. It's just very disappointing that we're playing at a venue that's got capacity 30,000.
But that's we in fairness, what we've done, we get what we deserve. We originally had that in the grand final. I know it was
in Sydney.
They took it away. They took it away from Sydney. Said, no, we want it to be the. And I'm not in favour of giving favouritism to the team that wins the league, because what happened to Central Coast Mariners? They got if they got to the final, you played at Central Coast Mariners. If Auckland had won last week, the final would have been at Auckland.
Exactly.
I think we need to get an identifiable venue every year, like Wembley, San Siro, Nou Camp. If we want to create, a history, right? We can't be gypsies and just float it around everywhere. Subsequently, what's happened? I mean, it's fallen into place this year because it's getting played in Melbourne. We get 2 Melbourne teams, but you know what? All over the world, you don't necessarily have to be, from that town or city to go to a grand final. I mean, look at the NRL's in Sydney, the AFL's in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. People travel from all over Australia and go to these games. They never whinge about it. We complain, we complain. But anyway, that's what
I agree with you, Ken. I think the game has grown into a lot bigger than that. I mean, I know that we've had some disappointing crowds this year at certain games, and we won't go into that. But being a grand final, the actual showpiece, the game that's going to be themed all over Australia and New Zealand, and maybe, I don't know about the television rights, they may have sold it to other countries. I really don't know, like Singapore, Indonesia, India, Japan. I don't know, but it deserves a better venue than that in terms of capacity. Like to have capacity of 30,000. And Auckland have been getting close to 30,000 just about every home game.
And they're not going to see...
So, trust me, as far as the showpiece, and that is a marketing opportunity. Okay? I'm disappointed that they haven't been able to change the venue. And, I know in Adelaide that we sensed that a game was going to be bigger than Hindmarsh. We went to Adelaide Oval and got 50,000.
There you go.
So I don't understand the thinking. I really don't. Please help me.
There's a big.
Go on. And MCG, you won't feel that if we had a MCG. It won't. It won't be there. Your atmosphere won't be there.
I'm not talking about MCG, Chris. I know it's 100,000. Yeah.
Just to let you guys know, in July, have you seen the promos? Instead of playing this game, the promotional game or friendly it is between Melbourne Victory at Amy Park, they're playing it at, guess where? Marvel Stadium. So Wrexham is coming out to play them there. So why couldn't they have even try and spoken to the AFL and they could have 50,000 there? So that's but the point is it's not the right shaped ground and you won't see the game properly, Kenny. I know you were, and that in the past there have been games there in the past. They're playing the Socceroos play there and everything. But I mean, why couldn't they have used Marvel Stadium? But as I said, Wrexham are playing there. Wrexham are coming to play Melbourne Victory there. Well,
mate, no disrespect to Wrexham. They got promotion and great. But you can't really think that's a crowd puller.
No, well, I know,
really?
but they're playing the game. They're playing the game there, Kenny.
I mean, it's hard enough when Newcastle came and Spurs came to fill the grounds. Wrexham?
I know. Tell me about it.
I mean, I don't know who's funding it.
They're playing.
I wouldn't like to be the promoter.
Aren't they?
The movie stars are funding it, and they're actually playing Auckland.
Movie stars are rich because they don't give their money away.
They're playing. They're playing in Auckland. Three games.
I'd hate to be the promoter.
3 games. They're playing Melbourne City. They're also playing Melbourne City at Marvel Stadium, and they're playing Melbourne Victory, and they're playing Auckland as well. Auckland in New Zealand as well. Well, there's a lot of money.
But there you go, Harry. You just mentioned it. There you go. I mean, the ticketing, and the marketing straight away. They've got a different strategy. Wrexham, who's Wrexham? I mean, Wrexham is not Liverpool or Tottenham or Man United or Chelsea or Man City. I mean, we're talking about Wrexham coming over at Marvel Stadium. And look at the grand final.
I guarantee you there's something about these games. Like you said, Kenny, it's going to be a nightmare to fill this stadium up. But let me say this.
Well,
I think Ryan Reynolds...
We don't have 20,000 Welsh people in this country.
Ryan...
I don't know where the hell they're going to come from.
And let me just say one thing about... this is that I don't think it's got anything to do with the people. I think it's got to do with them making another documentary on the club. A documentary showing them up. That's the point I'm saying. Because they made a documentary over there with, of course, these superstars from Ryan Reynolds is one of them. He's put his money where his mouth is. He's brought them up. They've climbed up to the championship now. Or maybe they're trying to lift the popularity, make a documentary to lift it even higher to play in the Premier League the year after if they can get in there. That's the other thing, Kenny.
Well, mate, the sad thing I suppose there'll be more Australian people will be going to Singapore to watch Spurs, Newcastle, and I forget who else is playing in that tournament. Then we'll be going to the Wrexham game. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't believe that they're bringing them over there to Singapore, and we can't get them over here. Isn't that funny? I mean, you think Ange would say, "Come on, boys, let's go over there. Let's show the trophy."
It's at his control. Levy. It's Levy. Money. There'll be TV money, and of course, it's all about brand awareness. They'll be trying to get that Asian, merchandise.
Oh yes, of course.
Selling Star TV. That's where the money is.
That's where it is.
What about Kenny? One for you, Kenny. You always talked about the Socceroos not having big sponsors, and I think you're absolutely right.
It's coming.
Apparently, there's some news.
Yes, there is.
There is some news. Some big giant sponsors coming on board for the Socceroos to invest money into Australia football. So I was very pleased to hear that. I don't know who they are.
5 years. 5 years, Angelo. Yeah,
I don't know what's coming. Yeah.
Well, look,
so I think it's going to be.
I mean, one decent sponsor will wipe the $8 million is petty cash for Football Australia debt. I mean, one decent sponsor will wipe that out. Year one. So I want to be concerned about the $8 million debt that FA have got.
Oh boy.
But we need a Qantas. We need a Commonwealth Bank.
Well,
we need an ANZ. We need an international brand. And I know I keep saying it, and I sort of don't like saying it. I don't want to disrespect Subway because they put the money where their mouth is. No one else was going to do it.
No, they didn't do it.
And as much as it was only $3 million a year, but they put the money up. At least they did that. So I don't want to be disrespectful to them, but they should never have been our elite national team sponsor.
Well, there is one sponsor who wants to get in. But if they do get in, I'm going to try and find out about it. It's not a very good name. And I told you, Kenny, I'm not going to mention it either. It's not, and some of these funny companies who want to actually get involved and sponsor, but it's not really the product that you want to actually see. Like you said, the Subway Socceroos, the sandwiches. And now there's another one there saying, oh, really? If they get them, they're going to have to be a much lower sponsor because the name of the stuff that they make is not really, you understand what I'm saying to you, don't you? No way. If we're going to drop even lower than Subway, why don't they drop? Oh boy, that's not going to work. I'm going to say it in the future. Hopefully they won't.
You can't get low on Subway, mate.
Harry, I want to be quite positive about this. I think there's going to be some big changes coming up.
Yep.
I know that Football Australia is working on it, and credit where it's due. I know James Johnson is leaving, and Heather Garrick has taken over. But James Johnson had been working on a lot of these international companies for quite some time. I think it's important that we say we give him credit for that as well, and they are going to come on board as he's leaving. Obviously, he's leaving as an opportunity for him. For James Johnson, I think he's clearly done that because he had 2 years to run his contract. But I think the most important thing is that finally we're going to get some big sponsors, investing money into the Socceroos, the Matildas, the Olyroos, and I'm hopeful that it will be the A-League as well, because, you know, the A-League is really struggling. It's really struggling, I hope it's better days.
They better get a crowd on. They better get a crowd on Saturday. Full stop. They better. Now, Kris, I'm gonna ask you all right now, and everybody out there, please listen to the experts here tonight, because Kris, Melbourne victory, the score. Now, you're a Melbourne victory supporter, of course. Now, what do you reckon the score is going to be on Saturday night, and who's going to be lifting the trophy up?
Victory 1-0.
Here we go, Angelo. Now, as a South Australian, we can't talk to you about Adelaide. But as you're wearing blue, by the way. You're wearing navy blue, which means that sounds a bit of support of Melbourne victory tonight. Is that right?
Well, look, I like Melbourne victory. I think Melbourne victory has had a good run, and they've played well, especially on home and away. They've really got the concept of when you play home and away, whether it's Champions League or whatever, Europa League or whatever cup it is, you've got to win over 180 minutes. But this time it's 90 minutes. And I think that Melbourne City, their form will carry them through, because they haven't lost for 8 games, and they're really, really hungry. And he's got the boys firing. Young guns. I think Aurelio will take it out, and they'll take it out 2-1.
Ooh, gee. Kenny, what do you reckon as a New South Welshman? No New South Wales teams. Last year, Mariners did it. What do you think this year? It's all in Melbourne Derby.
I'm 3-1 Melbourne City.
Oh, no, here we go again. So, you know what I'm going to say, Kris, don't you? 0-0, penalties, mate. Penalties, simple. Penalties. They could go. I'm telling you, they could go there. I'm telling you, you watch.
It could go there.
Please. I mean, in Europe, let's look at the Champions League. We've had no penalty shootouts. And we got the final on the 31st. But who can forget Inter Milan, right, versus Barcelona, 13 goals in 180 minutes of football. And no one penalty shootout. Even in the other game, PSG, Barcelona, Bayern, all of the games that were played, I was so happy because it's such a fantastic promotion for the game. And let's hope it's not a penalty shootout.
Well, I tell you what, these two supporter groups are not really. They're very risky supporter groups, so they better have a lot of security out there on that day. And that's the dead set. We know what happened last time, a year ago. Remember that, Kris? Remember what happened? The bucket man and all that. There you go. Anything could happen. This is really weird, but how could this is the first derby, Kenny? They're saying it's the first derby ever out of the A-League to happen. The first one. And the two most hated, these are the two teams that hate each other that much, it's not funny. You know? We're going to see a lot of things you're not seeing in any other games, that's for sure. The desperation will be unbelievable, Kenny.
Well, the victory fans started before the game, didn't it?
Yes, they did. Exactly.
Didn't they start the game didn't even start on the way to the ground. They start
the flares. They're going to be throwing flares. They're going to be throwing stuff in the streets. What happened a week ago when the victory people when they were playing Auckland for the first leg and it was 1-0 to Auckland, they were throwing stuff in the streets. Chris, remember on the news what was going on, mate? I tell you what,
that's where all the money's going in the A-League. We're going to pay for extra security, extra police.
That's what's going on.
All the crap that goes with it. To stop this crap, and it's a small minority, but mate, we've got to get rid of it in the game. You know,
we have to. That's the thing.
It's no South America. It's no. You can't be throwing players when there's kids.
We know that, boys. Boys,
you can't be doing that shit.
Exactly, boys. Thank you, Kris, for joining us tonight on Football. Let's, mate, enjoy your holiday in a few hours. How many? 24 hours, 29 hours. You'll be in Greece, mate, with the sun and sunshine. We'll be freezing our soccer balls here. I'll say the soccer balls. That is. Anyway, boys, thank you for joining us, Angelo, and of course, Kenny. Thank you, boys, tonight on Footballers. We'll see you next week again. We've got somebody coming on. John Canasoulis wants to talk about his time last week. Last week he was at the game. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thanks, guys. You've been listening to Footballers. Good night, guys. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight, guys. Thank you. Hup. Thank you, boys. Thank you. Hup. Check it out. Thank you, everybody. Hey. Hup. Check it out. What a great show tonight, guys. You learned a lot of stuff about Ange Postecoglou. Next week, we had someone at the game that Ange won the game in, and of course in Bilbao in Spain. Here we go. The cup of life. This is the one. Now is the time, don't ever stop. We should have known, gotta be strong. We should have known, right from the top. And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. No one can hold you back if you really are, guys. Hey, I see it in you, right. Good night, guys, everybody. See you next Monday at 8 p.m. Football. This is live again. Thank you, guys. Good night.